Webheads, Wave 2 of DC Future State has been released. Here are my thoughts on this latest wave of books. Hey, all my webheads out there, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And fans, I am your host, Mike Spider Slayer, always helping you make decisions of what comic books to buy. And today, guys, I am bringing you a special countdown. That's right, DC Future State, the latest wave of books have just been released. And last week, I gave you complete coverage of the first wave of books. And this week, I'm giving you the coverage of the second wave of books. But this time, we're going to be doing it countdown style. That's right, I'm going to rank those books from my 7th favorite all the way to my favorite. And I'm going to try to limit the spoilers so I don't ruin the story for you guys. Okay, so without further ado, guys, before we get started, let's go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that like button, and don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss any content from me. Now we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so coming in at number 7, are you not surprised, is Kara Zor-El. This is Superwoman issue 1. Now, this book, I didn't have high expectations to begin with. The artwork at first, I was kind of making fun of it in my comic book haul, but I'm not going to lie. After reading it or while reading it, the artwork actually grew on me. I did like the facial expressions. I did like the way Kara Zor-El actually looked in this book. So, the colors are very light. But nevertheless, it kind of looked good. It grew on me as time went along. Now, the story, on the other hand, I wasn't a fan of, really. Basically, we have Kara, who is in this moon colony, and she promises to take in people, and we get to see this young female that she winds up taking in, and she kind of makes a swear that she has to, an oath to protect this female. And why she protects this female, you're going to see when you actually read the issue. I thought that part of it was kind of cool, but there was a lot of jibber jabber and just this character. It didn't make you really like her. It's why do I care about this random character that I've never seen before? But, you care for Kara in this book a little bit, again, because she's making an oath to a particular person from her past. So this book wasn't horrible. It just wasn't my favorite. The other books were much better than this particular one. No backup stories, so at least you're not getting ripped off for the price point on this. So coming in at number 6, we have Superman Wonder Woman. Now, this book's artwork looks actually kind of cool. I thought the characters looked pretty neat. Facial expressions were quite interesting in this particular book. I did like the coloring in this issue as well. The creatures in this book were quite wild also, so that was kind of neat too. What I liked the best about this book was actually the beginning when Yara was in this book. Superman, I just wasn't so interested in. He was like a goody two-shoes in the beginning, like how Superman would be. And you get to see Yara kind of save the day right in the beginning. And then what happens is you have this threat of this sun-like creature. I guess his name is Solaris, and he's trying to replace the old sun. And then we see the sun god and the moon god. They're all doing battle against each other. And Superman's powers are kind of on the fritz. So, Wonder Woman has to try to help save the day as well. It was an okay issue. It wasn't the best issue that I've ever read. Again, it was just another one of those Future State books it's just happening. There was nothing special about it, nothing that really stood out. We already know that Yara is one of the best characters of Future State. I didn't need this book, honestly, to tell me that to tell me that even further. I just needed to read the Wonder Woman book. So this one was okay. Again, if you're in for a story with a team up, this might be something for you. Coming in at number 5, this is Teen Titans Future State. Now, a lot of people were anticipating Teen Titans to see what it's going to be like with this team in the future, right? So when you look at the artwork in this particular issue, I thought the artwork was actually kind of good. I love the way Dick Grayson looked. I loved the way, Cyborg and Beast Boy looked and Starfire looked. All these characters looked really nice in this particular issue. Okay. Now, the problem with this book is that it does a lot of jumping around. There was a lot of something happened to Titan's Tower, and there's an event that happened that was really bad, and we get to see a lot of interaction here between Starfire and Dick, and you get to see a lot of familiar characters from the past and most recent, right? We get to see Amiko, we get to see Dick, we get to see Starfire. But again, this book does a lot of bouncing around, and you see a lot of new characters that you've never seen before, which is going to be in the Teen Titans Academy. There was like a person by the name of Brat Girl, and you wind up getting like a Cyborg and a Beast Boy combined in there. So there's a lot of characters that you're not going to know. So again, it's all going to lead into that, I think, Teen Titans Academy, which I'm curious to see. But again, there was just a lot of bouncing around, and you didn't really know exactly when certain things took place and what's the point. Like, you kind of just got pieces of things, so it made for a little bit of a disjointed issue. However, I did like the characters in the book. I liked Nightwing. We get to see there's stuff going on with him. We get to see Starfighter as the leader of this like academy. She reminded me of almost like a Jean Grey, how she addresses the team and whatnot. So that was really good. So yeah, overall, this issue was like average for me. I wanted it to be more of a complete story. So I guess that's where I have its biggest fault, and it kind of falls in the middle of the pack for me. So this book definitely has potential. It has its moments. I wouldn't say that this is a waste of time. I would love to see more of this. Coming in at number 4, we have Green Lantern Future State. Now, I heard from other YouTubers and other things out there. A lot of people said, "Oh, this is not a good book," and I was like, "Oh man!" I'm like, "This is the first Green Lantern book that I've read that's got multiple characters in so long." I'm like, "Why is this book so bad?" So I was just really, really hesitant about reading this book. So I was just like, "Please be good." So the one thing that this book has is that right away, if you're thinking of a Green Lantern book, you're thinking that all the Green Lanterns are going to be working together. You're going to get a whole complete story with them all together. No, that's not the case. You actually get 3 separate stories in this book. So a couple of them are good. One is okay. And you pick and choose which one is your favorite. They all have different artwork. The first story has to do with John Stewart, who kind of looks like a pirate with a samurai lightsaber, and he's trying to save a planet, which obviously we've seen that before, from going in total annihilation, total destruction. Artwork wasn't always that great in this particular issue. I felt like they made up terms to like make them sound like they're part of a military or something. It just didn't seem like legit talking in there. I don't know what it is, but it was an action heavy book, and we get to see a little bit of Kilowog, and again you get to see John Stewart, but no Kyle Rayner or anything like that in this particular book. But they're doing battle against these guys, and they're taking over the Earth, and that's basically it. They're trying to save a race. That's what happens in their book. Nothing spectacular in that particular issue. Now in the second story, we get a story which I thought was really good, and it can explore the future really well. We get this space sector, obviously, and it's a floating, Green Lantern space station that Jessica Cruz is in charge of, okay? And she does battle against a couple of the Yellow Corps members, and Alyssa Dark is on board of this space station trying to figure out what's going on with it, who's protecting it, why is it being protected. And you get a pretty cool battle, and you get to see Jessica here do things without a Green Lantern ring, because there's no power in these Green Lantern rings. And what happens at the end of this particular story, you're kind of like, oh my God, is this going to happen to Jessica in the future? So you really left hanging here, and I can't wait to see if they actually explore that, because there's no part 2. It just actually ends. So I would love to see that going forward in the story. So Really good, and the artwork in this particular story was really nice. So this was a good read. Okay, and then the last story you wind up getting here is about Guy Gardner, who, same thing, he's out in the space sector. He has to protect a planet from these two races killing each other. They just never got along. They're fighting over some kind of relic. He's about to go get some beer off of what's the bar that he goes to, Warriors Bar. And then he has to do this job to try to stop this race from fighting each other. And he's like, oh, well, you guys can take me to some place until, my ring comes on again. Well, he's stuck there for like 25 years. He becomes like this prophet, and, he helps the race. And it's a really fun story. I really enjoyed it. The artwork is kind of, I guess a little cartoony, but it was fine. I had no problem with it. The characters, he was in character, which, if you like Guy Gardner, you're going to like this. If you like Jessica Cruz, she was in character. You're going to like that. I would say the only thing that holds this story down is the Jon Stewart story. And if you were expecting Hal Jordan to be in this or Kyle Rayner, you're going to be disappointed as well. But I don't think this was a bad book at all. I think this was a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend this particular issue. It is $5.99 because it does have 3 stories, but I think it was well worth the read and well worth the spot that it was in this countdown. So moving on to number 3, we have Robin Eternal. Now, this book was actually better than I expected it to be. Tim Drake is in this issue, and we also get Spoiler in this issue too, which is really a lot of fun. The artwork was pretty good. At times, maybe I felt like the characters, looked a little stiff, or maybe their facial expressions were a little bit off, but it still was pretty cool. Now, in this particular story, we're in Gotham, and we get to see the Magistrate, as they obviously have their clutches on Gotham, and they're creating these robots that kind of remind you of like Sentinels from like the X-Men, and they're trying to perfect these particular creatures or whatever, so they can patrol Gotham better and take on any heroes that are wearing the mask and arrest them and put them out for good. And so what happens is you wind up seeing Tim come across with Stephanie in this particular issue, and he's asking for her help. Whether she helps him or not is still yet to be determined. You wind up seeing a particular character from We Are Robin in this book, which was actually a lot of fun. And then as you read this, you get to see Robin go on his mission, and you wind up seeing what happens to him and why this particular title is called Robin Eternal. So this was actually a lot of fun. Has to do with like the Lazarus Pit. In this Lazarus Pit, like chips, they're almost like they're using it to kind of enhance their robots, which is really a lot of fun. This was a good book. This actually had contention for my number 1 spot. But when I read these next 2 books, I was like, yeah, this can't top it. So Robin Eternal was definitely awesome read. Definitely recommend it. And this was the best $3.99 story. Like if you wanted just Robin Eternal only, that's what you got here. No other backups, and a lot of fun and extra characters in it too. All right, so coming in at number 2, we have the Justice League DC Future State. Now, this book delivered on all levels for me when it came to the main story. Now, when it came to Justice League Dark, I'm just not into those type of characters, and that's why this book just could not get number 1 for me. I just did not find myself interested in that backup story whatsoever. So, really, if I got a full Justice League story here, this would have been a lot of fun, all the way through. But nevertheless, the Justice League story was well worth the money in itself. I wanted to see how all these characters interact with each other. The artwork in this book was absolutely gorgeous. I loved seeing all the characters. The colors are bright and vibrant in this book. And just seeing what has happened to the Justice League in the past was actually pretty cool. You wind up getting to see this version of the Legion of Doom, which was awesome. They have like the Ultraviolet Lantern, which was cool. They got the Screeched Owl, which was from the Court of Owls. all those particular characters were really neat, and just seeing our new heroes interact with each other was fun. You know, they live in a different time. Someone betrayed the old Justice League, and now they got to live in a time where they don't even know each other's names. They have to actually just go by their superhero names. They can't interact outside of missions, and it's a very strict Justice League, and they have to figure out what happened to the Legion of Doom that was actually going to attack them the next day. By the time you wind up getting to the end of the story, you're going to be like, oh my God, I did not see this coming. And it was a wild ride. Again, the artwork is so good. I love this book. I would love to see continuous issues of this. This felt like a Justice League story. I feel like we've been missing out on a really solid Justice League for a very long time. Would love to see this going forward. Unfortunately, I wasn't a fan of the Justice League Dark backup story. I'm just not a fan of those characters. Don't know that much about them. So for me, that's why this fell number 2, like I said. But if you like Justice League Dark, you might like the story in the back. But again, it wasn't worth that price point when I only got one story that I wanted to read. All right, and last but not least, my number 1 DC Future State book goes to Dark Detective. You probably figured that out by now, right? I mean, let me just tell you, this book delivered on all levels. I even like the backup story here, which was a lot of fun with Grifter and Lucius Fox. Now, Dan Mora did the artwork in this book, and let me just tell you, the artwork is absolutely phenomenal. It makes you feel like you're in this dark, depressing Gotham, but it's futuristic. Like, look at that. It's just so well done. You wind up getting to see Batman in here, how he's getting stitched up, which is really awesome. And in this story, you wind up getting to see really what happened to Bruce Wayne, how he escaped, how he has no money. And I'm going to show you this one page. If you don't want to see this page, just close your eyes real quick. But look at that, man. I mean, he has nothing. He has just like some pants, a chest plate, the bat symbol spray painted on it. I mean, he has nothing, but it is so well drawn, and just Dan Mora's artwork really helps tell Tamaki's story, and I thought Tamaki did a wonderful job at telling this story. And if you've been reading Detective Comics, this all ties into the story of what's going on right now. So I would love to see how Tamaki gets from the point that Detective is right now to the point that we get to here in DC Future State. So really well done. Definitely recommend reading this story if you have not. By far, probably the best DC Future State story that I have read besides that Justice League book. Really well done. Hope Dan Mora is on this book for a long time when he goes back on Detective. Now, the backup story was really a lot of fun. It had Grifter on there. And basically what happens in here with Cole Cash is Lucius Fox's son, Luke Fox, wants out of Gotham, and so he's hiring Cole to get him out of there. And the interaction between those two characters were actually a lot of fun. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of gunslinging in this book. There's a lot of one-liners. It's something that you kind of would like see in a movie and whatnot. So this is definitely a fun read. I wasn't bored by this. The artwork looked really well as well in this book too. So this was a well done comic book. This delivered on all levels. I wish all the DC Future State books were at this high level, but when you compare Wave 1 to Wave 2, Wave 2 was a hell of a lot better. Like, the Cora Zor-El book was nothing at all to me, but still, it had qualities in it that I liked. It was like all last week's books seemed like a Cora Zor-El book. At least the books from number 6 on down were at a higher level. So hopefully maybe even next week books will be even better. But this book right here, this one will be a hard one to top. This was phenomenal. So guys, there you have it. There are my top 7 DC Future State books for Wave 2. Now I want to know in the comments below, what were your guys' most favorite DC Future State books for Wave 2? And again, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell. Until next time, Check out more content right here. And this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. And thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0.